Good morning. Well, today is August 28, 2022. So how do you start a garden in your backyard or front yard or both with the intention to save money in groceries over time? So it is the end of summer and the start of fall, and to save money in groceries, I have found perennial vegetables to be great vegetables to introduce in your garden. And one reason is I'm going to take one of them, Egyptian walking onion, which is a little bit behind me here. They are perennial onion, and if you have them in your garden over time, you may not even need to purchase regular onion from the store. And you will say that's maybe just few dollars saving. Yes, but that's few dollars you could allocate to another purchase, since grocery price increases in the at the grocery store. That's few dollars you have left from your grocery budget to allocate to another purchase of things that you do not grow. So Egyptian walking onion is one onion among few that I have tried that is very resilient and will come back for you year after year, and you'll be able to get 3 season harvest out of Egyptian walking onion. You will harvest the green in spring, you'll harvest the green in fall, and then you'll harvest the baby bubbles on top in summer. And if you have a lot of the Egyptian walking onion in your garden, you could harvest some of the mother bulb from the ground in summer as well for eating. Otherwise, you'll harvest the baby bubbles on top for eating and for planting, to increase your patch. And when you harvest your greens in spring and in fall, you rinse them, you chop them, and you put them in freezer bag and put in the freezer for winter use. And when you need them to eat right away or to cook with right away, you just come outside and harvest them for cooking. In summer, you may not find enough green to harvest, so you might go light on harvesting in summer, or you might even go without, and then when the baby bubbles start growing, you'll be able to harvest those for eating. So let's take a look. So because I'm not coming outside often to do much, when I'm out, for instance, to harvest some greens for salad, I will come out with 2 tools. One to cut some wild plant on the pathway to mulch with, and the other to plant things that I should be planting, because that's fall, no, that's end of summer, and those perennials vegetables, they will start growing again in fall. So that means summertime, when we do not have rain, they focus on producing seeds or bubbles in the case of Egyptian onion. So when the stem carrying the bubbles are turning yellow, it's time to harvest them to replant. So that means at the end of summer, I should start replanting them, because pretty much it's telling me that they are ready. And in summer, we do not get a lot of rain and it's hot. So that's the time those perennial vegetables, at least the one that I have in my zone 5A, they focus on producing seeds. And in fall or end of summer, when we start getting rain, they will start growing back again from the roots. So it's the 28th of August. We got rain a couple times already this week, and it's pretty much it might rain again. So you can see that they start growing back. The mother onions start growing back. So that's a sign for me that I should harvest the bubbles to plant. Another sign is they are turning yellow, so that means they don't need, the mother plant doesn't need, the mother bulb doesn't need to feed the bubbles on top any longer. therefore I could harvest them. Otherwise, when I start seeing a new growth from the mother bulb, I know that I need to harvest those bubbles. So when I come outside with the shovel, I will try to get some of them, so that spot that I have noticed it before, that I know that I want to plant them, I can take them there and plant them. So, and you can see more of them growing here as well. And when they reach about a foot tall, which one that one is, you could start harvesting them. So the next one we will take a look at, will be sorrel. Sorrel is a vegetables or greens that is perennial, and you can use it to replace spinach or lettuce in your salad, or spinach in your cooking. So we can see one here, and I like to propagate them as well. So how do you propagate sorrel? You can propagate sorrel, and this one is broadleaf French sorrel. So you can propagate it from the ground, because it tends to spread a little bit. You can dig and pull some with the roots. Don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it's quite wide here. You'll be able to dig some with roots and propagate. I do not do that. I plant the seed to start, but even though I let them go to seed, I cannot pinpoint any plant that I have in the garden that I will say it is sorrel that sells so. So what I like to do, so that's two ways I talk about propagating, from seed and from the root. Even though from seeds I cannot really guarantee that, because I started from a seed that I purchased. But what I like to do is the main stem that carry the seeds, at some point you will start seeing new shoot on that stem. That's what I like to peel off. So I'm looking for one, and you can see one here. So that's the main stem that carry the seed. At some point it tends to be a little bit harder, so it tends to grow shoots on it. So that I like to peel it off. You can just look at, you can peel it by hand, and when you can see a shoot that is like this, you know that if you plant it, it's going to root. Sometimes when it just starts, you can just see just one leaf. It's not what you want. It needs to look like a shoot that is growing there. And I will peel it off, and then I will look around to see where I wanted to put it. So that's one way to propagate your sorrel. And that's the third one, the third option. So I have one here, and few feet away I have another one there, and maybe less than a foot I have this one here, and probably a foot away I have that one. So, and I have more. But when you have them, it's good that every time you have the chance to propagate them, you can propagate them. So I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to take the onion that I harvested, and you can see the onion, they start growing already. You can see the onion, they start growing. So it's not quite fall yet, but it's pretty much the end of summer, and we are getting they are ready to start growing leaf for us to harvest in fall. It's not in fall they will start really growing, but they'll be able to provide us harvest for fall. And you can see that the sorrel is pretty much, you have a lot of leaves on the sorrel plant. That's another one here. I left a little space by the fence, but I'm not using it as a pathway. Therefore, a lot of wild plants are growing there. So I will try to see if I can find a spot here to plant the sorrel. And you just want to plant where it's a little bit moist. You don't have a lot of thistle. And those are blackberries. I don't know if you'll be able to see. Let me pull it down a little bit. But yeah, you can see the ground here is moist. I'm digging some onion as well by doing that, but the ground is moist. So, and I just don't know if you notice it, but I just make a little hole there, and I'm going to take my baby plant and I will put it in the hole and close it. Can press it down a little bit. So if I can see, I can take this, and I have some blackberry things here, but I'm going to cut them out of the way. It's great when you are starting a garden to save money over time. You know, you will plant fruit trees, because fruits, depending on the fruit trees, you will have a lot of harvest for those over time when they mature. But since fruit trees take a while to grow, you can plant some fruits that are easy, that produce early. Blackberry is one of them. Raspberry is another one. But then as your garden is growing, you might, get rid of some of those plants if you chose to. So I have noticed that production from our blackberries decreased quite a bit after the first few years. But they are in the garden, and last year and this year they have been growing. And I can show you. You can see them here. They produce more this year than last year. But at the beginning, it might be hard for you to cut down some of those producing plants. But over time, you'll get used to it. And the decision to cut down something in your garden will be easier and easier. So I'm having a lot of wild plant growing here, because the blackberry cane is allowing them to grow. So, and I don't want to clear up this area, so I put the sorrel down. Now I'm going to take the onion, and if you have, don't know if I can find my shovel again. If you have an area in your garden that wild plant like to grow quite a bit, and you are planting Egyptian onion, you wanted to plant it there, you might want to plant them very close to each other and give them 2 years to establish. And if they like the area, they will take over. You won't even see weed there much. You'll just have to mulch between the onion and give them time to establish. So I'm going to peel. Sometimes I'll plant it together because that's how they touch the ground themselves. But I'm going to and this will be in the ground and this will be up. The tip will be up. So, and sometimes I just throw it in the garden, and sometimes I will purposely dig and put it in. But I think like when they touch the ground, the dirt, they will grow. So if you have the space cleared out, you don't have mulch on the ground, you toss them, I think they will be able to grow on their own. So we have our sorrel planted here, and since the ground is wet, they should be able to root quickly. So let's continue. Last week, when I came out to harvest some greens for salad, I harvested some sorrel and planted. So let's check that. To see how they are doing. And you can see horseradish, and that's perennial spice you could introduce in your garden if they are hardy to your zone. And you can see them here. That's perennial, that's horseradish. And we do have garlic, and you will see that those are hornneck garlic. So the stem carrying the bubbles are dry, kind of yellowish color, dried. And I have harvested the tip and spread it out. But I do have one here. So if you don't know the best time to plant them, well, when the stem is like this, you know that the mother bulb is done feeding the baby bulb. So if you have a spot you want to plant it, that'll be the right time for it. And I have propagated around, but I have this area and I can just spread it and just put it there. So let me get my tool. While we are working, you can see this little patch here. That is wild thyme. Wild thyme. That is quite hardy compared to the regular thyme, because I have planted both and I still have this one, but the other one is gone over time. So we have this one, that's a sorrel that I propagated last year, 2021. And last week I planted some, and that's what I wanted to see if they made it. So that is one here that turned a little bit brown, but I have a green stem. Maybe that will work, but I have planted more than one. And I'm not seeing the others. And we can see some onions here. We can dig a little bit, and you can see this onion, and I will just put it in it. So when I planted last week, it was a little bit dry and I didn't water because I do not water. But if you don't mind watering, when you are planting, you either plant where it's moist or when it's about to rain, or you water. Like when you wash vegetables, you can use the rinsing water to water the plant you propagated to keep, and then you mulch around it to keep it moist. That's one way to do it, but I don't do that. And I would suggest you plant a lot. Sometimes they like an area and they will grow. Sometimes they won't like an area and they may not. And I just like to leave the plants do their own thing. So we are going to go, um, we are going to go, 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 we are get another sorrel because I saw one shoot that we can harvest, and we can come back and plant more in that same spot. So yeah, you will just look around to see different areas that you have in your garden. And I think it's going to rain. And a lot of time is maybe during harvesting things or walking around that you'll notice spot in your garden that are dry. That way you know when you are going to mulch with fall leaves, those are the area you will mulch. And that's this one. I'm going to peel it. And then you'll notice area that you have space that you wanted to plant something and have an idea what you want to plant them there. That way when you are about to propagate, you will remember the different areas in your garden that you wanted to plant, and then you plant there. It might be a good idea to start growing at the ground level. Over time, you might change your mind on where things are and change their location again. So if bending down to plant is not an issue for you, it is economical to just plant at the ground level. So we just put it there, and I'm going to close it. Thank you so much for watching. I think the camera is out of battery, so if the video is cut off, well, we thank you very much for watching. We thank you all that subscribe to our channel. We thank you very much for all your comments. Yes, you can save money by growing your own food. You may not grow everything, especially if you are living in the city, but while you grow, over time you won't need to purchase those things, and you can spend that money toward other things you do not plant. So that's how you save money in your groceries budget. The budget might remain the same even if prices at the grocery store increase. And not increasing your grocery budget is saving you money. And the money you save, you can put it to work by investing in real estate, in the stock market, or in your own business. And planting perennial vegetables saves you money in that sense that they are very resilient. You will plant them once, you purchase the seed to plant once. But then after that, they'll just keep growing. So what you will do is you'll just propagate from what you have. And by propagating like the way we planted the sorrel, you won't have to heavily harvest from one plant. When you have a lot of that plant in your garden, you will harvest lightly from each one of them, and you'll have enough supply. So you purchase the seed once to plant, and when they start growing, they establish, you let them go to seed to harvest the seed and replant, or to harvest the shoot to replant, or dig from the ground to propagate. And you keep an eye on how much you need of that in your cooking or eating, and keep propagating. And when you have enough, you just harvest lightly from each plant without weakening them over time. So that's, you are not going to purchase the seed every year to plant, but you are just going to keep propagating from what you already have in your own garden. And if you have a land around your house, you might want to put it to work by growing your own food. Well, having grass that you have to mow every week is great. It looks pretty, but you don't eat grass, you eat food, and food is a need. So yeah, you might tend your garden, your grass to have a pretty, to have a, to have a pleasing, eye-pleasing house to your neighbors. But if you can spare a part of your land to grow some of your vegetables and fruit trees that you purchase, it could save you some money. And that is a perennial herbs, sage. Is it sage? Yeah, sage. And you can see we have sorrel here, and that's the front of the building. And this sorrel here has the shoot, but this one is, if I will pick some, that will be this one, because this is more like the stem with the seed. So this will be the shoot, and this is more, it's not quite a shoot on this side. It's not well put together the way I would want it, but and I like it to be more like 3 leaves so that I can peel it in one. But yeah, and I like to grow a lot of those onion here, so I'm going to harvest the onion and replant them as well. And that's the time to see if I will be able to propagate some of those herbs. We have winter savory and wild thyme, perennial spice, to replace spices in cooking. Therefore, we don't have to buy herbs, we don't have to buy spices, but we can just grow our own. And I have noticed it that there is some spot in the garden that I need to put some, I need to plant things. So I'm going to plant along the fence area, because the fruit trees at the front, they are growing, and I think over time they will come, their branches will come to the pathway that I have in the garden. Therefore, I wanted to move the bed that I have in the middle toward the fence area. So to do that, I'm not going to move anything, but I'm just going to now start propagating along the fence, so that if I had to allocate more space for walking, it will be easier now to bother, at that time, to bother those vegetables that are growing in the middle, including garlic, Egyptian walking onion, which by the way is called winter onion, and then sorrels. I can dig them and move them to the side or move them under the tree. So yes, we are planting fruit trees and vegetables together, and as the fruit trees are growing, I'm looking around to see what needs to move out of the way for us to have space to walk. As those fruit trees are expanding, some of them are shrub and they are pretty much expanding out, and some of them are trees, they are growing tall but having wide branches. So we need to give them space, and we need to have space to walk around. So having a long defense that I wanted to have as walking path, but we are now using a lot of wild plants are growing there. So I'm going to plant the onion tied together all around the fence, and to do that is just going to be like 2 foot wide. That way from a side I won't be able to reach the bed from two sides. It's going to be from one side. So when you are making a bed to grow in, when it's 3 to 4 feet wide, that means you need to be able to have space to access it from either side, either width side of the bed, to be able to reach the whole bed. I'm not talking about the length of the bed, but the width of the bed. But if you cannot access it from one side, then the bed needs to be just 2 foot wide, so that if you don't want to step in the bed, you don't have to step in the bed. So that's what I'm going, since I'm outside, it's not too cold, I'm going to harvest those onions and just dig and plant. And we can do that together as long as the camera does now, or until the camera is off. So I'm just going to come here